My girlfriend said, "You're just not attractive anymore." After I lost my job, I replied, "All right then." She had no idea I'd just inherited a fortune. She found out when she saw my new penthouse on Instagram. Her "I miss us" text is still my favorite screenshot. It all went down last month, and it's still kind of wild to think about. For 3 years, I was with a woman named Isabella. I honestly thought we were solid. We lived together in my modest two-bedroom apartment, had our routines, and were that comfortable couple everyone seemed to know. I wasn't rich, but I had a good job in software development, and we live a nice, steady life. We took decent vacations, ate at good restaurants, and I paid for most of it. I didn't mind. It felt like the right thing to do when you're building a future with someone. Then about 2 months ago, two things happened in the same week that completely tore my world apart. First, my grandfather passed away. He was an incredible man, quiet, hardworking, the kind of person who built something lasting out of nothing. He'd created a small real estate business that grew over the years, and we were close. I was his only grandchild. Losing him hit me harder than I expected. That entire week was just a blur. Funeral arrangements, family calls, grief that didn't seem to let up. Isabella was there, but she felt distant. She held my hand at the funeral, but I could tell her mind was somewhere else. 5 days later, when I was finally trying to pull myself together, my boss called me into his office. The company was downsizing, and my entire team was being laid off. Just like that, I was out of a job. It was a brutal gut punch, grief and anxiety piling up all at once. That evening, I came home feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I told Isabella what had happened, expecting comfort, some words of reassurance, maybe even a hug. Instead, she just stared at me, quiet, almost calculating. The next night, she said she wanted to talk. We were sitting in the living room. I was on my laptop looking for jobs, trying to stay calm. She took a deep breath and said, "You're just not attractive anymore." I blinked. "What are you talking about?" She gestured toward me, toward the job sites open on my screen. "The stress, the unemployment. It's not a good look. I'm attracted to ambition, to success. And right now, you're just not that." Then she shrugged, like she was commenting on the weather. "I think we're done here." It was so blunt, so heartless, I didn't even know how to respond. My grandfather had just died. I just lost my job. And now, the woman I thought loved me was walking out because I wasn't successful enough anymore. Something in me just went quiet. The grief and shock were still there, but another feeling settled in, a cold, clear understanding. She had just shown me exactly who she was. And I believed her. That I looked at her and simply said, by then, that calmness made her furious. She wanted scene, tears, begging, promises to fix everything. But I wasn't going to give her that. She snapped, "That's it? After 3 years, that's all you have to say?" "You made your decision," I said, standing up. "What else is there to talk about? I can help you pack." She spent the next few hours angrily throwing her things into boxes, slamming drawers, muttering under her breath. I just sat there and watched. What she didn't know, and what I hadn't told anyone yet, was that the day before my grandfather's lawyer had called. My grandfather had left everything to me, his entire estate. The valuation wasn't finalized yet, but the lawyer mentioned a number so large it didn't even feel real. He'd told me not to make any major moves until the probate process was done, so I kept quiet on why grief and my stress were real. But so was the quiet knowledge that everything was about to change. And as Isabella slammed the door behind her, I realized I'd just been given two very different kinds of endings, and one powerful new beginning. But the truth was my financial situation was the complete opposite of what Isabella thought it was. And in that moment, I decided she was never going to find out. She called one of her friends to come pick her up since she didn't have a car. She'd always used mine. As she was walking out the door for the last time, she stopped and gave me this look that was supposed to be pity. "I hope you get back on your feet." "I really do." She said that IT was the most insincere thing I'd ever heard. "I'll be fine," I told her. Then I closed the door behind her and locked it. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't bad. It was the first quiet that actually felt peaceful. The next morning, I called my lawyer, the same one handling my grandfather's estate. and told him about the breakup. His advice was simple and firm. Document everything, separate all finances, and don't engage with her again. The first problem showed up just 3 days later. I got a notification from my credit card company about a suspicious $5,000 charge at a luxury handbag store. I had completely forgotten that Isabella still had a joint credit card that was supposed to be for emergencies only. She knew I'd lost my job, and she still decided to go on one last shopping spree on my card, and I called the company immediately, reported the card as stolen, and disputed the charge as fraud. They froze the account and started an investigation. Then I sent Isabella a screenshot of the charge with a short message. I assumed this was a mistake. I've reported it as fraud. Her reply came instantly. That was my card too. You can't just cut me off. I need things that I didn't reply. I just took a screenshot of her message and sent it straight to my lawyer. After that, the text started coming in waves. She said I owed her money for 3 years of emotional labor. She wanted what she called a severance package for the relationship. Then her best friend Jenna started texting me too, calling me a heartless jerk for leaving a helpless woman with nothing that I ignored all of it. Every message went straight to my lawyer's folder. About a month later, the first portion of my inheritance cleared probate. A huge sum of money appeared in my account. It didn't even feel real at first. I was still mourning my grandfather, but I knew he wouldn't have wanted me to stay stuck in the past. He was a man who lived fully, who believed in moving forward. So I decided to do exactly that I couldn't stay in the apartment Isabella and I had shared. It carried too many memories, and most of them were bitter now. I called a high-end real estate agent and told her I wanted a fresh start. 2 weeks later, I was signing a lease for a top-floor penthouse in the newest high-rise downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows, an incredible view of the city skyline. The kind of place I used to dream about that I spent the next month furnishing it, hiring an interior designer, choosing art, and setting up a home office that made me actually excited to start working again. For the first time in my life, I wasn't checking price tags. It wasn't revenge spending, it was freedom. I was building a life on my own terms, one that Isabella had made it very clear she didn't belong in. I started a private Instagram account, just for close friends and family, posting a few photos of the renovation process. I knew word would get around eventually. Our city isn't that big. And sure enough, the moment came sooner than I expected. It was a Friday night. I just finished setting up my new home theater system. The city lights were glowing through the windows, and I poured myself a glass of good whiskey. I took a photo of the view, skyline spread out below, glass in the foreground, and posted it with a simple caption, "New chapter," and tags, no flexing. Just a quiet statement. But the view gave it away instantly. Less than an hour later, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Just one message. The text just said, "I miss us." I stared at it for a long time. After everything she'd said, after calling me unattractive and worthless because I'd lost my job, after trying to run up my credit card and demand money from me, one picture of a nice apartment was all it took for her to come crawling back. It wasn't me she missed. It was the lifestyle she thought she'd thrown away. I took a screenshot of the message. I didn't reply. I just sat there, looking out at the city lights, and started to laugh. That pathetic, transparent forward text was the most satisfying moment of my entire life. But it didn't end there. Her "I miss us" message was just the beginning. When I didn't respond, the real desperation kicked in. The next morning, my phone was blowing up, messages from her, from Jenna, even from her mom. They all said the same thing. She'd made a mistake. She'd been stressed. She didn't mean any of it. We were meant to be together. It felt like a coordinated campaign that I ignored all of it. That weekend, I bought a new car, a sleek black sport car I'd dreamed about since I was a kid. I posted a picture of it in my new building's parking garage. The next day, I went to a charity gala my grandfather used to support. I wore a new tux and posted a photo. Not to show off, just to share the moment. But each picture told the same story. A life moving forward, one she no longer had a seat in. The confrontation came a week later that I was having dinner with a few friends at a new restaurant downtown. We were sitting on the patio when I saw her, Isabella, walking toward our table. She had that familiar, fake sweet smile plastered on her face. She stopped beside me, and put her hand on my shoulder. "Hey," she said, her voice dripping with forced warmth. "Fancy seeing you here." My friends went silent. They knew the whole story. "Isabella," I said without looking up. "What do you want?" "Can we talk?" she asked, ignoring my friends. "Just for a minute. Privately." "No," I said. "We have nothing to talk about. You made yourself very clear." Her smile faltered. "Don't be like this," she said quietly. "I know I messed up. I panicked. You lost your job, and I didn't handle it right. But I see now that I was wrong. I should have had more faith in you." I looked at her then. Faith in me or faith in my grandfather's money? Which one is it? She recoiled like I'd slapped her. "That's not fair," she said. "Isn't it?" I asked. "You didn't seem to have much faith when you were walking out of my apartment 2 months ago. You found me unattractive. What changed? Did my new apartment make my face look better?" She started to get loud. People were looking over. Exactly what I didn't want. "Let's go, Isabella," I said evenly. "You're embarrassing yourself." "No," she snapped. "I'm not leaving until you talk to me. We had 3 years together. You can't just throw that away." "I didn't throw it away," I said, standing up. "You did. You walked out because you thought I was broke. You made a bad bet, Isabella. You gambled that I was a loser, and you lost. That's not my problem." She just stood there, speechless, as I sat back down and picked up my fork. My friend stared in silence while she turned and walked off, face burning. But the story didn't end there. That a few weeks later, I got a call from a guy named Kevin. He said he was a friend of one of Isabella's friends. They'd met about a month earlier and started dating. According to him, she told everyone her ex, me, had a gambling problem and lost all his money, forcing her to leave. He'd been helping her financially, paying her rent, covering her car payments, but things weren't adding up. She was always broke, never working, and always asking for more. Then one of his friends sent him a link to a local real estate article. It featured a list of recent high-end property sales, with my name listed next to my penthouse photo. Kevin said everything clicked at that moment. He confronted her, and the truth unraveled fast. She'd been playing him, using him as a temporary ATM while she figured out how to get back into my life. He kicked her out that morning. That he wasn't calling to yell. He was calling to thank me. Seeing that article, he said, save him from wasting any more time or money on her. The last I heard, Isabella had moved back in with her parents. Her new relationship was over, and her chance to crawl back into my life was gone for good. She played the game and lost twice. That I haven't heard from her since. I blocked her everywhere, and my life now is quiet and good. I started a small consulting firm with a few old colleagues, and it's already taking off. The penthouse feels like home. The car still makes me smile. But the best part isn't the money or the view. It's the peace. That night, I poured myself a glass of whiskey, looked out at the city lights, and toasted to my new chapter.